Welcome to the Deep Dive. You send us the sources, we dive in, and we pull out the key stuff fast and hopefully pretty thoroughly.
Exactly. We know you want those aha moments without getting bogged down.
So this time, we've got these excerpts from a fictional piece. Persistence of vision. Our mission. Get past just the plot. Really dig into the main events and, what it all means.
Right. It's not just about what happens, but why it matters. Those little details that make you really understand things.
Okay, let's set the scene. We open with Captain Janeway on Voyager. She's juggling a lot, navigating this tricky both-and space.
Which we find out pretty quickly is tense territory.
Yeah, and dealing with crew stuff.
Yeah.
Like Torres and Kim trying to get the holographic doctor mobile. Plus, the usual crew morale thing and these big diplomatic talks looming.
That first bit really throws us in with Janeway, doesn't it? Her quick chat with Neelix about the Botha, it's not just setup.
No. It immediately shows how precarious things are. He's worried, he needs her, but she's got meetings. She's being pulled everywhere.
Straight off to engineering.
And that scene. Engineering. Torres and Kim. They do make the Doctor Mobile just
vertically challenged.
6 inches tall.
Yeah.
It's funny, sure, but it also just highlights the constant tech struggles they face.
Right. And you can feel Janeway's frustration bubbling under. She needs to focus on the Botha.
That's the real pressure point building.
What strikes me early on is how it's not just one big crisis for Janeway, it's layers of stress.
Mm-hmm.
The tech mishap, Neelix being worried, Tuvok needing her for security briefings. It all just piles up, creates this background hum of tension.
Which makes what happens next feel almost expected in a weird way. Then we get this really odd moment. The doctor, the tiny holographic doctor, he basically orders Janeway to take shore leave on the holodeck, cites some, obscure regulation.
It's such a flip, isn't it? His usual role versus suddenly showing this, concern, maybe more than concern, authority.
It definitely blurs the lines. Suggests he's developing, thinking beyond just his program, worrying about her well-being.
It's an interesting peek into AI evolution in this world, His interpretation of duty of care leads him to issue an order. That's something.
So Janeway, probably needing that break anyway, even if she wouldn't say so.
Right.
Heads to the holodeck, fires up this gothic novel program. She's playing Lucy, a governess.
Yeah.
But just before she goes in, there's that look at the picture.
Yes. Her dog. And Mark.
Yeah. A little hint of her life back home, the connection she misses. It's not just escapism, maybe?
I think that's key, that little glimpse. It suggests the program isn't random. It maybe connects to something she needs connection, maybe a different kind of responsibility, Lucy, the governess. Perhaps it echoes her own command anxieties in a strange way.
Could be. But the escape goes sideways fast. Lord Burleigh, in the program, suddenly professes his love, kisses her. Very out of character.
Yeah, Jory.
And then the kids, Beatrice and Henry, Mrs. Templeton. It all feels off. Beatrice is upset about her mother, and this specific flowered teacup keeps coming up.
The teacup becomes important, doesn't it?
It does.
It's fascinating how the holodeck, this supposedly safe, controlled space, starts getting weird. Are these just glitches? Or is it reflecting Janeway's own subconscious? Burleigh being so forward, Beatrice being so distressed feels pointed.
And just as it gets maximum weird in there, urgent hail from the bridge. The Boffins, reality crashes back in.
Talk about whiplash.
Neelix has been using his contacts, and the news isn't good. Ships entering both-end space. They tend to disappear.
So they're fiercely protective. Maybe worse.
It paints a pretty grim picture.
That contrast is really effective, though. The dreamlike, unsettling holodeck versus this immediate, very real danger raises the stakes instantly.
It's the first actual contact with the Bothan rep.
Just as creepy.
The shadowy figure, right?
Totally. Won't show themselves, won't clearly state why they claim the space. Vague answers, promises of another meeting later. Leaves you feeling really suspicious.
Yeah, what are they hiding? Is it just territory or something else entirely? That lack of transparency is definitely unsettling.
So after that tense non-meeting, we get this lunch scene. And it's strange. Okay.
Neelix is super insistent Janeway eats. Describes this whole elaborate Palaxian menu, but then mentions cucumber sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches? Seems specific.
Very. Because another crewman supposedly requested them. But Janeway instantly connects it to her holonovel. And then she sees the flowered teacup. The exact one Beatrice was upset about in the holodeck.
Okay, that's not subtle.
No.
Yeah.
That's the first, undeniable moment for Janeway where reality and the holodeck are blurring. Dangerously thin line.
It's brilliant how those tiny details, the sandwich, the cup, become these anchors, pulling the fiction into her reality, and her trying to rationalize it as coincidence. You see her struggling.
Yeah, she's definitely disturbed. So she starts digging, talks to Torres and Kim, asks about some old holoprojectors found in storage.
Trying to find a technical cause? Makes sense.
But they deny working directly on the holodecks.
Wow.
They can't explain how holographic stuff might appear outside. They even suggest, maybe she's experiencing delusions.
Oof, that's rough.
Feels like they're reaching for the simplest explanation, maybe avoiding something weirder.
It highlights that engineer mindset, doesn't it? Trying to find the logical fault, struggling with something that doesn't fit the schematics.
So Janeway goes back to the holodeck herself, runs diagnostics.
Hoping for a glitch.
Exactly. But while she's there, Lord Burleigh just picks up where he left off, still pursuing her. More blurring. And the diagnostics.
Let me guess.
Normal, completely normal, no errors found.
Okay, so it's not a simple malfunction. That deepens the mystery considerably. If it's not the tech, then what?
Her next chat with Neelix just doubles down on the weirdness.
Yeah.
She asks about lunch, the cucumber sandwiches, the teacup.
Yeah.
Neelix's memory is fuzzy, contradictory. He insists the cups were plain, doesn't quite recall the sandwiches the same way. It directly contradicts Janeway's clear memory.
Wow. So now it's like reality itself is unreliable around her, or at least people's recall of it. That's deeply unsettling, almost gaslighting, unintentionally or not.
It really cements her feeling that something is fundamentally wrong. She gets a medical check from the doctor.
Still tiny.
Still tiny. He finds nothing physically wrong. Suggests stress, but also mentions the possibility of, alien intrusion.
So the possibilities are widening, from tech to psychology to external influence.
Right. And then Case suddenly feels this intense chill. Janeway mentions an old Earth saying, someone walking over your grave.
A little cultural moment there.
Yeah.
But Case feeling something, that's significant.
Yeah, it suggests it's not just Janeway anymore.
This is where it really shifts, isn't it? Away from tech issues towards maybe an outside force. And Keyes' weird sensation hints Janeway's not alone in experiencing something.
And then it escalates, big time. In sickbay, Keyes has a vision. She sees Beatrice, the little girl from the holonovel, running right into Janeway. Keyes says it was like she was a mirror, just reflecting the image.
A mirror. That's an interesting description. So Keyes is somehow perceiving these things too, but differently.
Seems like it. The doctor tells Janeway to rest in her quarters. But it doesn't stop. She hears voices, Mark, from the photo.
The personal connection, I guess.
Finds her door locked from the outside.
Okay, getting scary now.
And then Mrs. Templeton, another holonovel character, appears in her quarters. With a knife.
Whoa.
Attacks her, accuses her of causing trouble. Janeway has to call security. It's gone from weird to physically dangerous.
Yeah, the hallucinations are now interactive and hostile. It's clearly targeted, deliberate manipulation.
But even after that, Janeway tries to keep it together, briefs Chako, delegates tasks about the Botha, the doctor's mobility project, trying to project control.
Incredible resilience, just pushing through it.
Chakotay is supportive. The doctor insists she rest. You see the crew's concern growing.
They know something's wrong, even if they don't know what.
In case, she sees it again. The Mrs. Templeton hallucination with a knife, moving into Janeway, reinforcing that mirror idea and her connection to whatever's happening.
Keyes is becoming a crucial witness, maybe more. Her abilities might be interacting with this phenomenon.
Meanwhile, back on the bridge, the Bothan ship arrives for the rendezvous.
Yeah.
Immediate tension.
Here we go.
Initial hail. Same shadowy figure. Hostile, demanding the captain, acting super suspicious. Then they just cut the transmission.
Abrupt, ominous.
And then sensors pick up anomalies. 2 more ships decloak. They look automated.
Automated. Interesting. So not necessarily manned vessels.
Looks like it. And then, bam, weapons fire. They're under attack.
Yeah.
Voyager takes damage, evasive maneuvers. It's full-on conflict.
So much for diplomacy. Their aggression, the automated ships, it suggests this was planned, not just guarding space. What's their real goal?
The ships coordinate their attack, demand surrender. Janeway's back on the bridge by now? Her answer, absolutely not.
Of course.
But then, the view screen. The Bothan representative finally shows their face, and it's Mark.
No. From the holonovel.
The very same. And beside him, Admiral Paris, Tom's father, and Libby, Kim's girlfriend.
Oh, this is brutal. They're literally weaponizing the crew's loved ones, their connections.
Exactly. Even Tuvok sees an image of his wife, T'Pel. But being Tuvok,
he recognizes it instantly as false.
Instantly. Rejects it. Kim's struggling, can't shut the visual down. But Janeway, Even facing that, she's ordering scans, weapons ready, pure command focus under fire.
That's incredibly insidious. Targeting specific people with specific emotional triggers, calculated psychological warfare. Tuvok's Vulcan discipline shines through there.
Down in engineering, Torres makes the breakthrough. She finds it. A massive bioelectric psionic energy field coming from the Bothon ships.
Psionic. Okay, that explains the hallucinations. Finally, a scientific cause.
Yes. She figures out the frequency, delta waves apparently, and plans to use the warp core to send out a resonance burst, block the field.
Clever. A way to fight back technologically.
Janeway immediately gets it, sends Chakotay and Neelix to help Torres, tells Kim to work on shield modulation, but Kim's clearly starting to fade, affected by the field.
It's spreading fast.
So Janeway calls Keyes for help, realizes the crew is going down one by one.
Torres identifying the psionic field is huge. It gives them a target, a mechanism, and her plan offers the first real glimmer of hope.
But engineering is getting bad. Torres finds the engineers just catatonic, blank stares.
Oh, no.
Chakotay reports the same thing all over the ship. They even have this terrifying thought. What if the alien is actually on board?
That's a chilling possibility.
Chakotay suggests maybe they should take an escape pod. Just get out. But Torres refuses. She's staying to finish the resonance burst.
Determined.
And then the alien targets her. Creates an illusion of Chakotay confessing his love, trying to distract her, stop her.
Wow. Exploiting potential feelings, trying to undermine her resolve right at the critical moment. Psychological warfare, pure and simple.
Back on the bridge, Paris is reporting no weaknesses found on the Bothon ships. He's fighting his own illusion, his critical father.
Everyone's fighting their own personal battle.
Janeway realizes she can't remodulate the shields from there. She has to go to engineering. Locks down the bridge, heads for the turbo lift.
Makes sense. She needs to be where the solution is.
But the alien intercepts her. Illusion of Mark again in the turbo lift. Tries emotional manipulation, then gets physical. Janeway fights him off. Her resolve is incredible.
Each struggle is so personal, isn't it? The alien really knows how to push their buttons. Janeway resisting that Mark illusion, that takes serious strength.
Meanwhile, sickbay. The doctor, who seems totally immune.
Because he's a hologram.
Presumably.
Yeah.
He gets the severity of it all, realizes someone needs to act, and Keyes is there, also unaffected.
Okay, so they're the last hope.
The doctor tells Keyes she has to go to engineering, finish what Torres started, even though she has basically zero engineering knowledge.
He's going to guide her remotely.
Yeah, with his usual supreme confidence, maybe slightly overconfidence.
Huh. Typical doctor. But desperate times. The hologram and the Ochem fan become the unlikely heroes.
Keyes starts heading to engineering. It's dangerous. She runs into an illusion. Paris, badly injured, pleading for help.
Another test.
She sees through it.
Right.
Knows it's fake, gets to engineering, contacts the doctor on the monitor.
Okay, the remote guidance begins. High stakes.
He starts talking her through the warp core procedures. It's incredibly complex. Then, another distraction. An illusion of Neelix appears.
Trying to throw her off.
And then it gets really horrific for Keyes. She hallucinates her own face, her hands breaking out in these awful sores.
Oh, that's nightmarish. Pure body horror.
The doctor, quick thinking, reminds her about the mirror effect she mentioned earlier. Tells her to use it.
Use the reflection thing against the illusion.
Exactly. The pressure on Keyes is just unbelievable. Technical challenge, constant psychological attacks. The alien is desperate to stop her.
He is the key now.
So the climax, Keyes focuses, looks at the Neelix illusion, uses that mirror effect.
Yeah.
And transfers the source to him.
Whoa.
And it reveals him. It's the Bothon. His true form, momentarily.
She forced him to show himself.
Boosted by that, she quickly enters the temperature setting, activates the warp field. The resonance burst goes out.
Yes.
All over the ship, people start waking up. Keyes gets a message to Janeway. They confront the Bothon, now corporeal in engineering.
And his explanation?
Chilling. Janeway demands to know why. He just says, because I can.
Wow. Just power because he has it. No grander motive.
Janeway's having none of it. Threatens him tech countermeasures, turning him over to the Mithrin government.
Flying down the lump.
But his final words, I'm not really here. And then he vanishes. He and the ships. Gone.
Not really there.
Right.
What does that even mean? So many unanswered questions. But Keyes, amazing. She really saved the day. Adaptability, inner strength.
The wrap up. Janeway's log entry basically says, we have no idea what that was. Lots of mysteries remain.
Understandably.
And there's a final scene. Janeway and Torres in the mess hall talking about it, how the alien dredged up stuff, buried feelings.
Things they didn't want to face, maybe.
Yeah. There's this quiet understanding between them. They both went through something intense, confronted things they'd rather not admit. But maybe there was some benefit to facing it.
A tough way to get therapy.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's it. And hoping for sweet dreams. Still feeling vulnerable, maybe, but also maybe starting to heal.
So the big takeaways from this dive, the sheer power of psychological attacks, how our own minds can be turned against us, but also the importance of confronting those inner conflicts, maybe, and just the unknown, Voyager's constant theme.
Absolutely. You sent us these excerpts looking for clarity, and wow, we definitely uncovered some intense stuff. Saw how quickly things went from standard space travel to deep psychological horror.
Yeah, it really escalated. And for you listening, think about it. An alien that can do that. Get inside your head, use your deepest feelings against you. What parts of your inner world would be vulnerable? Your memories, relationships, fears. What does that say about how solid our reality really is?
It's a heavy thought. Thanks so much for sharing this source with us, for letting us take this deep dive. We hope we hit those aha moments and gave you that thorough understanding you were after.
Yeah, hope it was illuminating. And if you've got other things you're curious about, send them over. We're always ready for the next dive.